Thanks. It's really nice to be here. I guess what I'll just say about it as a preface maybe to this presentation is that I've done a lot with online, but what I really like about it is the way it can kind of integrate with what I do face-to-face. And I've seen that as a teacher and in my personal relationships as well. It's one of the reasons I'm interested in online education. And so what I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about today is my most recent kind of online exploration, which involved enrolling in a course being offered through Coursera. And so I've retitled my presentations Lessons from Coursera. Has anybody here taken a class through Coursera? Okay. Coursera, whoops, I'm sorry. Can you tell I'm a Mac user? What is Coursera? Coursera is one of these new companies. It was just founded about 5 months ago by 2 Stanford University professors. And one of them had a grand idea to just let anyone enroll in his instructional technology course or in his technology course. And so they've created a company. They now have over 200 online courses that they're offering. They're partnering with universities, most of which I would characterize as in the elite realm. And I got this from a New York Times article that was published in September. They're claiming to have 1.35 million students enrolled since they started. Now, people take these courses not for credit. They're earning certificates, okay? So, and many people do not finish the classes, they just enroll. But it's pretty impressive how many people they've been able to reach throughout the world. And what I thought is, you know what? I'm going to enroll in with these courses and see what they're doing, because I teach online, and I'm always interested to see what some good ideas are. So I went ahead and, I'm going to do this wrong, I'll do it this way. I enrolled in a course called Operations Management, being taught by Christian Turwish out of the University of Pennsylvania. I am an associate dean. I don't have a strong background in educational leadership. I'm an English teacher by training. And I thought, you know what, maybe I should see what people are doing in the world of operations, and so much of what I do involves the operations of the College of Education. So I signed up for this course. It started about 4 weeks ago. Oops, I did it again, sorry. By taking this course, I've learned a couple of things. And I should say, I fall into the category of the person taking a class. I'm kind of on the fringe. I'm an outlier. I'm watching videos, and I'm kind of trying to learn what's there, but I don't want to go too deep. And my mathematical limitations probably partly explain that, but also my time limitations, which is a nice lead-in actually to my first lesson. What I discovered they did, what the instructor did in this course is he sent out an announcement the week before class started, and then every week thereafter. And this is something I do regularly in my online course. And what I realized was, you know what? I think I need, at least for the first couple of weeks of teaching, to maybe send out announcements every 2 or 3 days. Because, like a lot of students, I let those emails pass. I mean, I was committed, I was ready for it, but it's so easy to kind of forget that you're enrolled in a course. And of course, I don't have the motivation that I've actually spent any money that our students do. But I still think, from my experience teaching online here at Roosevelt, there are a number of students who just like, all of a sudden, like week 3, I hear from them, you know? And I think more regular announcements would be helpful. And that's something I'm interested in doing for this spring when I teach. I also was really impressed with the way the instructor initially introduced the course. It was really nice, and it's a good lesson both for online teaching and for offline teaching. That is, he didn't spend a lot of time getting into the logistics. The first lecture basically said, you know what? There's a lot I could say about this course. Let's just get right into it. And he went right into the introductory lecture. And eventually, at the lecture 3, that's when he kind of gave a sort of a brief summary of what was going on with the course. And if you were sort of like, I think, a reasonably average student, you would have already by that time checked out the syllabus, which was readily available online. I thought that was just a really, really nice lesson, and that's something I think I do try to do in my own online teaching. Basically say to people, let's get into the first conversation. Here's the topic. Let's go. You need to introduce yourselves. Take the whole week, explore the course, and then we'll come back to questions and that sort of thing. Another good lesson, I thought, this class is enrolling a couple 100,000 students are actually in this course. And that requires simplification. It requires simplification in a way that the instructor speaks to students through the videos, okay? Because not everyone is coming in with the same kind of understanding. And it requires simplification in the course design, because it really needs to be navigatable. The confusion cannot reign with that many students in there. And it was funny, the other day I went back to my structure for my Blackboard class from last year. And just going into Blackboard and seeing the menu on the left, I had this immense sense of clutter. And I think I actually have it fairly simple, but I think there's things that I could do. The course, a Coursera course was very simple. Week 1 through week 6, there were links to the lectures, there were links to the practice questions, links to the homework, and then a couple of other, a link to the syllabus, and a link to the discussion forum. And it was just very nice and clean. I found it very easy to work through, and I think that's something I really want to work on for the future. How many of you have been teaching online? How many of you do video lectures? Okay, yeah, I haven't either, actually. It's funny, I've done videos in my face-to-face courses, but I haven't done them for my online class. Probably because I started in 2001, and it works. But I've come to, last year I actually realized, after taking a year off from teaching the class, I really needed to do something with video. Seeing this definitely convinced me. It makes it so much more interesting and engaging when you see the professor. They did video, their lengths were 8 to 12 minutes, which I actually thought was on the longer end, but I found as I watched it that I didn't really have an issue with that. I thought that length in general worked. And he's an excellent lecturer, so it made it very interesting and engaging. The most interesting feature of these lectures, I was surprised the first time I took it, about halfway, 3/4 of the way through, they embed a one-question, I wouldn't even call it a quiz, it's like a checkoff question, but it's multiple choice, and it's like, it's based upon the content that was shared, try to answer it correctly. And they had it set up so you're watching the video, you stop, it goes to the screen, the question is there, you click. If you get it wrong, you get another chance. The first time I missed it again. And then the third time they give you the answer, and then you keep on going. And what I found was this changed the way that I watched the video. Immediately, of course, probably because I fall into that category of the student who likes to actually succeed on things like that. But I found that for the rest of the videos, I did give it a little bit more attention. I almost had this anticipation, like, oh, when's he going to throw the question at it, just to see it. I thought it was a wonderful technique, and so I'm going to be showing up in your office to see how we can actually do this sort of thing. And I think it doesn't have to be that way. The whole idea here, as an educator, I know, is that what students want is immediate and unambiguous feedback. That's a finding in all the research on assessment. And if we can provide that, that's a positive for the way that we teach. And that is what happens by having this little checkpoint in there. And I think you could do that in other ways, perhaps that are less technologically involved. Okay, I'm almost at the end here. I've got 5 other things to share. These lessons maybe fall into the category of sort of more global impressions that I had. I don't use groups in my online course. I did at one point where I put students into the groups. I didn't like the way it worked. I felt like our discussions had enough sort of self-selected grouping, because I would give different threads within a discussion, and students would choose the threads that they wanted to participate in. So in a sense, I was creating small groups in that way. With Coursera, they let people set up their own discussions, and people, again, do the same kind of thing. They select. And I thought that was really interesting the way that they did that, and I think it's something that I would recommend to everyone. They also have meetups, which is another idea that I've kind of jettisoned from since I first started teaching my online course. It used to be, especially if the students came in, they wanted to see each other. Now it doesn't come up as much, I would say, and I think what I say to people is, what I find is people really enjoy having the class this way, and so I don't organize anything. But they do use the meetup feature, meetup.com, and if people want to get together, they can actually set that up, and I was thinking, that's not such a bad idea. That's something even I might do. Especially if it went beyond the realm of our course, right? So that if people want to meet to talk about a book, one of the books that we're reading for my young adult literature book, we could have a meetup. It could be on meetup.com. Maybe even some other people would come. It might make it another sort of interesting adventure and just add to the whole experience. Integrate student expertise into discussions. It was really interesting. About halfway through the Coursera course, the instructor realized that there are so many people who are actually working in business who could provide concrete examples of the principles and procedures that he was elaborating on in his lectures. That he has consequently, he has set up at the end of the course an opportunity for people to do a project, like a 2-minute kind of graphic visual description of how operations actually work in a real world setting. and I just thought it was a really great way of sort of recognizing that there are people out there who have knowledge and experience to contribute not only to the people in the course, but to the instructor as well. And kind of finding a way to integrate that in the course. The way he did that is the way we might do it as well. He basically said, oh, if you do this project and you fall, and we actually decide to publish it, we want to publish it online, you pass the course. It doesn't matter whether you did any homework or anything like that, you get the certificate for passing the course. Another thing I noticed, which is something that I've increasingly done in my online course, the instructor and I think the Coursera designers provided a lot of different models of etiquette and argument. So they explained what was respectful or what was polite, what's an example of listening to someone as you respond to them, and also respectfully disagreeing online. And I thought those kinds of examples were very, very helpful. And finally, the last thing I noticed that they do, like I explained, they have certificates instead of grades. So, and they have 3 levels of certification. And I thought, oh, you could actually kind of build this into the way that you explain your grades to your students. So I gave you kind of a cheap, sort of funny way of approaching that. C, course completed. B, big league knowledge. A is the award for excellence. And I think the idea there really is creativity in the way that we interact with our students. And in the videos, there wasn't a lot of personal touch, but it showed up now and then, and it really made a difference. In the writing about the course, that showed up as well, and it really made a difference in the way that I interacted with it. Okay, my concluding statement, big idea for you would be, I was just actually, the videos really, really sold me on this. And I guess the lesson I would say for all of us here at Roosevelt is, if anyone thinks that you can't really learn online, I'm convinced actually that I'm tipped. I've tipped over. I think it's wrong. From what I saw there, this is just an exceptional way to kind of get information, learn, apply knowledge, interact with others. And so I really think, obviously not everything should be online, but we really should be strategic and thinking hard about where we can do that in ways that really improve actually what we're offering to our students. Thanks very much.
Thank you.